Sam Vaughn for Sam Sports Report. Today we'll start with baseball. The Royals game was quite the pitching duel last night. In fact, the Royals score was 0-0 after 10. Both teams finally brought in a run in the 10th. The Red Sox opted not leave Aroldis Chapman in the 11th, who was throwing BBs at 100 miles an hour and 37 years old. He still got it. To the Red Sox, Garrett Whitlock, the closer, came in. He gave up a run, and a runner at second was charged with the run, but the Royals didn't score in the bottom of the 11th either. But by the bottom of the 12th, Craig Biggio, it was a big play by Calvin Biggio. In the top of the 12th, there was a big play by Calvin Biggio to get the first out in left field. A ball that was turning in the corner, but Calvin Biggio made the play. The Royals got the next two. The Royals got a sac bunt on an 0-2 count and got his runner to third. The sac bunt was by Freddie Fermin that almost came in and hit him. Biggio hit a sacrifice bunt that almost came in the way of hitting him. Fermin, who bunted on a 2-2. Fermin singled and won the game to score Massey. Royals win 2-1. The lefty, Cole Reagans, will go for the mound, and Garrett Cole will go for the Red Sox. Garrett Cole agreed to a 6-year, $137 million contract. He's pitching well this season. Game time from Kauffman Stadium is at 6:10. The Royals had an opportunity with the guy, Jonathan India, at third. He goes home on a ground out. He gets out. Massey out at second. And Garcia also out at third on the double play on the rundown as Garcia looked like he was going home. But on the pickle, he was tagged. And the Red Sox got out of that one as the Royals had a chance to win it. It looked like Little League Baseball playing there. We continue our stories on Rafael Devers. John Henry has a productive meeting with Rafael Devers to discuss his refusal to play DH or play first base, according to the Boston Globe. As rumors float, the Cubs seem to be interested in him. This is according to a bunch of websites, but we'll give you the link of the Boston Globe. The Cubs lost to the Mets and have lost 3 out of 4. Rubber match. The Cubs lost 7-2 last night. The Cubs try to get the game tonight to get the rubber match for the series tomorrow. The Cubs will have former Royal Brad Keller and Taylor McGill on the mound. Game time 6:15 local time. The Mets to host. The Cardinals will play the Nationals at 5:05. Cardinals will have Andre Platt. Trevor Williams will go for the Nationals. ERA high for both. Pitchers are struggling. First pitch again, 3:05. And in the NBA, the Celtics must win over the Knicks. Celtics down 2-0. And the problem is they're in New York. The Celtics need to get this game as they were favored to win the NBA championship, at least before the season. The Cavs were the best team in the Eastern Conference this season by record. Jason Tatum will be a player to watch out for, and Jalen Brunson. Jason Tatum for the Celtics and Jalen Brunson for the Knicks. Tip is at 2:30. Timberwolves will at the Warriors, even series at 1. Players to watch out for: Anthony Edwards and the veteran Stephon Curry, the best shooter ever, maybe. Game time is at 7:30. Update on Kauffman Stadium, the North Kansas City has become another site again for the Kansas City Royals. The Royals haven't talked with the Marion family who controls the site. This is according to the Kansas City Star. Nearly 100 acres in North Kansas City. North Kansas City has not yet. The Royals met with the Royals. North Kansas City is trying to get a star bond where the community does not get a vote. Same thing the Kansas is doing. Jackson County doesn't have that vote passed yet. Also in play is Washington Park, but we'll talk about that more here. Here now we talk about the law that hasn't passed is the star bond. Will be similar to the star bond. It may be called something different, but it would be similar to the star bond, which means stocks go into the stadium. Jerry Newell is pushing for the stadium in North Kansas City. Officials say this is became a possibility. Now, of course, the community will have concerns about the stadium, much like they do here. We'll just have to see if they have as many concerns as Jackson County. We'll see about that. It may not matter though if they can get this sales tax passed. John Crakesy, he's 56, north of North Kansas City since 2007. Thinking of a super fan, he hasn't gone to a game for a few years, but remembers going to the K and his kid when it first opened in 1973. He loved the current field, but it's getting up there in age. The co-owner of Kansas City Star, Paula Lewisgard, and willing to pay for the stadium as long as there is a bombing in business. Count me in for the World Stadium, Missouri. All Kansas City sites that are mentioned, a lot more. They can make the ballpark in KC now. Let's listen in to some thoughts from the KC beat in the Kansas City Star. KC beat is the show that we're listening to in the podcast. Washington Park will be mentioned in the story. Hopefully, the Kansas City Star comes up with another article with that. The Noise podcast part again, we said according to KC Beats. This is Sam Vaughn for Sam Sports Report. Let's hear more.
On today's show, Star columnists Sam McDowell and Vahe Gregorian discuss stadiums and where things stand with the Royals and Chiefs. Last April, Jackson County voters turned down extending a sales tax for stadium projects, and since then, there have been many stories about what the teams might do about their future homes, but it's all been speculation. Where are these teams going to be playing ball in the near future? Okay, let's get started. Well, it was a year ago this month that the Jackson County voters went to the polls and turned down the 3.8-cent sales tax extension for stadium projects for the Chiefs and the Royals. I don't know what I expected to have happened in the year since then, but maybe more than what has occurred. I thought we'd be a little farther along, especially with the Royals. Sam, you've written extensively about what's happened here since the vote, and your latest story actually is a return to a former a site that the Royals had identified or had been identified as a potential Royals stadium landing spot, and that was in North Kansas City. Look, I've counted at least 5 sites for the Royals since the conversation has started, and now we're back to talking about places that had been mentioned originally. So, why did North Kansas City come back into the conversation?
Yeah, I can't really answer that. But it's obviously a clear sign that, there's, not everything is buttoned up at any other location. And the Royals, since that April vote, have been really quiet about their plans over the last 12 months. I mean, to John Sherman's credit, he is an available owner, I think, and to Clark Hunt's too. I mean, there's a lot of owners in other cities that we know of that don't talk to media at all. But John has very much not answered detailed questions about the stadium since that vote. And he's not really obligated to. They don't have a vote in front of voters. There's no answers really that he's required to provide at this point. But what it's left us in the dark on is not necessarily what they're considering. but what their preferences are and what boxes need to be checked for them to feel comfortable at a location. And, I know that the Washington Square Park site downtown that I had reported last like August is something that City Hall has pushed, including Mayor Quentin Lucas himself. I also know that's a really tight space over there, and that the Royals have envisioned a ballpark district with surrounding elements to profit off of, that they would own. I would imagine it would be more difficult at Washington Square Park, and that was always, the North Kansas City site, as you mentioned, Blair. It's not just that they considered the site; it was one of the two sites they announced as a finalist. So we did learn more information about just the way they viewed that site, because they had to answer questions about that site, you know, uh, 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 not quite a year and a half, maybe 15 months ago when they announced it as a finalist. And we know that they liked the fact that there is just an unbelievable amount of land over there controlled by a single owner, or a single family owner, which is the Merriman family. And, I mean, it's almost 100 acres. And I think Washington Square Park is every bit as tight as the Crossroads was. And, that's probably not, I would guess the North Kansas City site's at least 4 times that size. And so, envisioning your own ballpark village and thing of that sort, that that probably comes to life more in North Kansas City. And then you're weighing the pros and cons of, okay, does it fulfill your desire of wanting to go downtown? Because they have been clear that it's in or around downtown. This is much more about the around downtown than it is the in downtown. I mean, I think you could have downtown as a backdrop in North Kansas City, but it's certainly not in downtown Kansas City.